Shalom, this video is about false prophecy. In order to begin, I need to read to you a text from Deuteronomy chapter 13, where Moses says, starting in verse 2, "If there appears among you a prophet or a dream diviner, and he gives you a sign or portent, saying, 'Let us follow and worship another God whom you have not experienced,' even if the sign or portent that he named to you comes true, do not heed the words of the prophet or that dream diviner. For the Lord your God is testing you to see whether you really love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul. Follow none but Adonai Elohechem, the Lord your God, and revere none by him. Observe his commandments alone and heed only his orders. Worships none but him and hold fast to him." Okay, so you have there kind of a very clear text that there are going to be people that are going to come along in history and say, "Follow me. I'm the dream diviner telling you to follow other gods. Don't listen to them, even if some of their tricks come true." So the Jewish people have experienced countless pretenders to try and steer us to other religions. Christianity, for example, Islam, saying, "Don't follow Adonai Elohechem, follow this one or follow that one." And similarly related to this is the idea of false messiahs, that we've had often in our history people that have come and said, "I am the Messiah, follow me, I've got new ways of living your life that steer you away from the basic ideas of Torah and Rabbinic Judaism." Now, Jews, first of all, believe that Jesus is one of those false messiahs. Those who claim that he's God clearly would fall outside the realm of Judaism and would be a violation of that chapter of someone who does wonders and signs. It says, "Don't follow Adonai Elohechem, follow me." Now, later on in Jewish history, there are other people like that too. For example, in 132 to 135, Rabbi Akiva backed a man named Bar Koziba in a rebellion against Rome and thought he was the Messiah. And of course that ended disastrously. The Jews were barred from Jerusalem and really was one of the significant things that propelled the diaspora, the life of the Jews outside of Israel, the false Messiah of Bar Kokhba. And much later in Jewish history, there were others, but the most famous were two, one named Jacob Frank and one named Shabtai Tzvi. They both lived right before the development of Hassidic in 1700, within 100 years or so of that. And they both claimed to be the Messiah. They had backers who supported them as the Messiah. And they both were exposed to be frauds. Lots of European Jewry believed that they were the Messiah until one was forced to convert to Christianity and one to Islam, exposed as false messiahs, and really devastated the morale of Jewry. Though out of this rose Hasidut, and one of the major critiques of Hasidut by the non-Hasidim at the time, fearful that these were, again, false messianic movements and excommunicated them actually, were because of this, the Hasidim raising up the rabbi to an exalted position. After the experiences of Shabtai Tzvi and Jacob Frank, many were worried that these were going to be another false messianic movements. And some people today believe the way that the one particular Hasidic group, the Lubavitcher, venerate their dead rabbi, borders on this idea of kind of false messianism. And when you see posters that say, with his picture, Melech HaMashiach, King Messiah, and then in all these homes they have pictures of him on the wall, a prominent picture, almost like some Christians' home will have a picture of Jesus, that makes you wonder, have they crossed the line there on that issue of false messianism? Now, my relatives in Israel are Bratslav Hasidim, and they had one rabbi, Rabbi, who was the great-grandson of the Baal Shem Tov. He died in the 1700s, and he said, "You don't need another Rabbi, I'll come back." And they believe that. So you've got these dead rabbis, the Lubavitch rabbi, you got the Bratslav rabbi, you have this dead Jewish teacher, Jesus, who's revered by more than 1 billion people, all who claim, or people who claim for them, that they'll come back as the Messiah, and some say they'll come back as God. And we'd say the only God is Adonai Elohechem, and we have no evidence that the Messiah has ever lived yet, because the world still stinks and hasn't met any of the biblical ideas about what happens when the Messiah comes. And so we are very wary of anybody claiming exalted status We trust in God. We are a God-based religion. And a Jew, really, even though we hopefully wait for the Messianic era with caution, as Maimonides taught us, we don't believe it's come yet, and we don't believe we've had these prophets and dreamers who are legitimate, who want to steer us away from Judaism, should be embraced and accepted. So I hope that explains a little bit about some of at least one Jew's mindset about false prophecy and tricks that people can do to make it look like they are supported by God. Famous story in the Talmud 2,000 years ago about a rabbi who was trying to win an argument, and he kept calling for miracles, and they occurred, mountains moved, and the rabbi still voted against him, saying, we don't rely on tricks like that, we rely on reasoned wisdom. We'll know it for sure when we see it, but until then, it's God alone.